So we're good to start organising what we have here a little bit, start labelling some stuff up and colouring it. So before I look at Maschine and exporting the stuff from Maschine into Logic, I'll just name some of these sounds that I was like noise, shakers, and we've got tops here, ARP, and we've got 3 ARPs, so call that ARP 1, ARP 2, ARP 3. We've got the bass in here. We've got these 3 bass regions as well that we've already coloured up, vocal 1 and vocal 2. And what I might do as well is we sketched out that idea for an arrangement with the pads and stuff. We'll put that back in later, because what I might do now is say with these tops, I want to start arranging some stuff out. And notice if you zoom right in on these, I deleted that end hi-hat by accident there. So if I was just to highlight these regions and loop them over, I reckon it's a chance sometimes with audio that it doesn't end right on the beat there. So if you notice there's a little gap there. So if I just start looping them over, the more the track progressions, the more out of time they're going to go. So something when you're arranging out audio, what I tend to do is just put it in a folder, and then what that means is it's like the MIDI regions, they end exactly on the beat, which is what we want really. And now we've like titled a lot of these channels. What you can do here is, because at the moment the regions still don't really have a kind of title attached to them, instrument 6 and stuff, what you can do is just highlight all of these. This functions drop down menu, go name regions by track name, and it names all these regions. So now this is the ARP, the tops, the shakers, the bass, and that's really useful. So with all of that set up, now let's look at Maschine, because what would be nice to do now we're getting into the arrangement is to have everything in Logic. Although we're still going to be triggering in Maschine, we can be arranging in Logic and mixing in Logic. But the great way of this workflow, although it's a little bit fiddly, is that rather than just dragging the audio out from Maschine, doing this workflow, what we're about to do, means we still have control or the sampling and editing capabilities in Maschine. If we want to then go actually, we want to pitch that kick, we want to change the envelope on that hi-hat in Maschine, we still can do it this way. So for starters, what we need to do is convert Maschine to a multi-output instrument, if you didn't load it up as a multi-output instrument already. And that just reloads Maschine, the same instance, same sounds. But what we have now, if you look at the mixer, what we didn't have previously is plus and minus buttons here. So we can actually start adding these in here, these aux channels. And that means that I can now, with these aux channels added, can start routing these sounds in Maschine externally into the Logic mixer. So let's just solo up Maschine for now. And if I hit on this icon here and I get my output options, so this shaker destination at the moment is going to the group. I'm going to change this destination to external 2. I'm not going to go external 1 because Maschine output, the master output goes down external 1. So if we start adding more sounds in Maschine, we want them to maybe just go down external 1 until we route them externally. So I'm going to start with the first sound, external 2. Next sound, external 3. Percussion, external 4. Clap, external 5. Open hat, external 6. And now we should get them, if we solo these channels up as well, they're all coming down. I don't think we need this last one, we've only got 5 sounds. So let's maybe label these up then. So shaker, kick, it's like kick, shaker, clap, open hat. So we've routed the audio externally, and the next step really is to get the MIDI in here as well, so we can start arranging that MIDI. So the first thing we want to do in order to get this happening is these 5 sounds from Maschine that we've routed, get them, bring them up in our arrange page, and we can do that here by highlighting these channels, go to options, create tracks for selected channel strips, and then that brings them up in our main window here, and we've then brought into our main window. Maybe keep the solo one for now. What we want to do now is get the MIDI in here. So there was I think as of Maschine version 2.3 they changed this, because initially I could just click this MIDI icon here with this pattern kind of display in here of all the sounds and just click and drag it, and it would just drag the 5 sounds over, which was great. But now if I do this and drag it over, what it does is, have a look on here, for some reason now it drags 16 sounds over. So even if you have empty, you know, 6 to 16 empty sound slots, it still dragged this empty MIDI region over them for them, which is quite annoying really that they've changed that. It was much better how they had it previously. So delete those. So what I tend to do now is just go on the keyboard icon here, and then that just gives me the MIDI, individual MIDI for each sound, so this shaker. And now if I click and drag the MIDI from this, it's just going to drag the one file up there and then just put it on the shaker. And then so you just have to do it like that. So it's a bit more fiddly, so go to the kick, drag that MIDI over, percussion, clap, open hat. And now we're going move these over here. So we've got our 5 sounds. That's all sounding a bit crazy. So what we need to do is, now we're triggering inside Logic, we want to stop triggering inside Maschine. So we want to go to an empty scene here. You know, it's not sounding quite right, is it? So say if I had that soloed, that's the shaker. It's actually triggering the open hat. It's just at the moment it's going to trigger whichever sound we have in focus. So we need to change some MIDI input options here. So if I go to input MIDI, what I need to do is route these to different MIDI channels. So source, I'll go to host, and channel, just maybe follow the same as what we did with the audio export. So channel 2, the next one, host, channel 3, the next one, host, channel 4, the clap, host, channel 5, it's open hat, host, channel 6. So now I've got that shaker soloed, just playing back the shaker, kick drum, kick shaker, clap, open hat, which is great. And you also got the pad sound in here. So what we could do with this is just get this MIDI here. I might just drag this, rather than doing any external routing, I could do this much quicker by loading up a software instrument, loading up Diva, getting that same patch we had, which was the polysynth, grass brass, close this, and then just drag this MIDI out onto that Diva synth there. Go back to this empty scene, and this should have dragged out. And now we have our pad, our kind of chord pad sequence. So that was a lot quicker than routing externally. It's great for the drums, but the synths you can just kind of reload them in. So we could actually highlight these regions here, functions, name regions by track name, and And then just organise this a little bit. So drag these over to the left here, and let's have the kick at the top, the kick shaker, the clap, the shaker, the open hat, the noise shakers. Take the solo off. The tops, so all our drums are at the top there, and maybe have them in 8-bar regions. So I might just kind of glue all of these together. And then have our bass, arps, so then the melodic stuff, and then these pads. And with these vocals, I might put these in a folder as well. It'd just be easier to arrange them out if they're in a folder like this, and the same with these vocals. Delete all of this stuff. And then we can start color coding stuff. I think it's good, although it's a bit boring, this stuff, it's sort of necessary. It's good to be organized really when you're working on an arrangement, especially when the arrangement starts to get bigger and you're looking at all these different regions and what have you. To sort of color code stuff up just gives you a nice point of reference. So the arps, go to a color, the vocals, have them as something, so you can sort of establish, exactly what's what when you're looking at this arrangement. And then what we can do is say highlight all of these regions, say the vocals and the drums, and just like duplicate them. Maybe not that many times, maybe something like up there. So 6:20 at the moment. So and then we can just start like pulling stuff out and just go, right, we're not going to introduce the bass or the arps initially. So drag these out here. The pads are going to come in much later on, maybe in the second breakdown section, and then just start thinking about maybe we could have some kind of intro arp in there, just have the arp really nice and deep. Really filtered down, and maybe take some of these sounds out of the intro, so the tops, the clap, open hat, something like that. And then we can just start building stuff up from there. Maybe think about introducing a bass here. The kick drops out, but not that. Maybe even have this. This bass is just a one note, so have this initially come in here. And we'll look at automation in one of the later videos, but the bass could start off really filtered down, something like that. Move these arps back a little bit, and then it drops down, the bass goes on to the next note. And of course we'd automate this arp. And then in here we'll introduce the open hat and the main bass hook. Maybe filter this back down again now. And then here the bass will open out by this stage. And we get that full bass hook. It's quite uplifting in that section, nice and melodic. And then we'll program a breakdown section later on. So come and check the next video. We'll get stuck into a bit more of this arrangement here. Alright, cheers.